Good morning, everybody. My name is Darlene, and I have Parkinson's. We're going to do a recipe today. This is my first in the series called Make It Monday, and I'm going to just turn this pan down just a little bit. Just before I get started, I want to put a little drop of oil into here so that we can get a couple of things started. I'm going to put a drop of oil in there, and then I want to put these onions in. And then that way they can start cooking while I talk. I'm going to hold the recipe up so anybody that wants to take a screenshot can. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh. Well, I might have to do it in 2 bits. This is called the ham and pasta toss. And there it is. And I think this is going to be backwards. I'm going to have to figure that out. But anyway, that's the recipe. So what we're going to do is, while this is cooking, this has got to cook for 5 minutes. While that's cooking, I wanted to tell you that you're constantly having to adapt when you have something that's happening in your life. So we have decided that one of the things that we had to adapt, and we just changed it, I am christening this fry pan today because I'm having trouble standing at the stove for any length of time. So therefore we thought it would be easier, and I didn't want a great big one, and my son went out to find one and he found a smaller one that was just perfect. So this way I can put it on the table and I can just have Bill help me with getting the ingredients together. And now tonight I was able to get the ingredients to, as a matter of fact, I say tonight, it's the middle of the night, but I wasn't sleeping, so I figured, what the heck. So I'm going to just stir that around for a second. And I might as well just go over the ingredients so I can tell you what we have, okay? We have, I put in there, I put avocado oil in. It says that you can put olive oil in, so I think any kind of oil that you want. We got 1 chopped onion, 1 clove of garlic, 1 cup of, it says slivered ham. I just took a small ham steak and put it in chunks. 1 cup of chopped tomato. I'm using Roma tomatoes. I used 2 of them. I took quite a bit of the juice out of them, but I left some. I cooked up 3 cups of fusilli pasta, and that's cold, but it's already cooked. Have half a cup of chicken stock. I had to make it out of bouillon because I didn't have any in a carton. I used the Better Than Bouillon chicken. A quarter of a cup, it says light cream cheese. I'm using regular cream cheese. It says a cup of frozen peas. I didn't have frozen peas. We're having frozen corn. Now the peas make it very pretty, but I don't have any, so we just decided, well, if I didn't have any, corn it was. My spices here is a quarter of a teaspoon of basil and a quarter of a teaspoon of oregano. So I used a half a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. It's the same thing. And a pinch of pepper. And then here is 2 tablespoons of shredded Parmesan cheese. Okay, now these are getting soft. I'm going to put the garlic in just now. I find that, we just have to make the adaptations where we have to, and it all works out in the end. I mean, what's the difference whether I stand at the stove or I do this? Some people would say, well, you look like you're being lazy. Well, I know that it's not a case of being lazy. It's a case of I can't stand at the stove. So, okay, that, I could maybe turn it up again because now that there's something in the pan. I'm trying to figure out the temperature gauge. It goes up in degrees. I've got this at 325. Yes, 325 is what I've got that set at. Okay, add the ham, tomato, and stock. All right, the ham. The tomato. This is such a simple recipe. It's almost embarrassing how easy it really is. I'll put that down there. All right. So now, you just want to keep this cooking. Now this is a recipe that can also be eaten hot or cold. It's a great recipe to take to a park on a picnic because there isn't any mayonnaise in it. So therefore you're not going to have to worry about that. But it's also delicious warm. So now I've added the cream cheese. I want that to melt down into this to make a little bit of a sauce. Not very much of a sauce because we don't want a saucy pasta salad. The peas, basil, oregano, and pepper. Okay, so then you're supposed to add, once this is in there, we can add the corn. And the seasoning. Okay, now we just have to let that simmer for 5 minutes. So while we're doing that, I'll do a little bit of talking, which is nothing new for me, hey? I'm pretty good at the talking part. I don't often have a lot of sensible things to say, but this is going to smell so good. Oh my goodness. And you know, if you've got the peas, it really is pretty to put that green in there. Or even if you wanted to bump it up for a healthier, put some edamame or something like that in it. Like there's all kinds of things that you could add to that and it would be absolutely delicious. Now while that's simmering, let me just tell you a little story. What's new, hey? Okay. This is a story that took place about a year after I was married. I was a new cook. As I explained, I watched my mother cook all the time, but I wasn't involved in it usually. So therefore, I wasn't the best cook in the world, but I sure tried hard. Well, this one Christmas, it was going to be my turn in the family. That we were taking turns. We'd go to my parents' house. Then next year we'd go to his house. So it was my turn on his side of the family to host the Christmas dinner. So I knew his sisters were coming, their husbands, their children, and his mom, and I wanted to make an impression. So I thought, you know, I'm going to do some stuff ahead of time. So one of the things I thought, wouldn't it impress people if I actually made cabbage rolls? Now, if we were actually going to eat cabbage rolls, I would have made like the lazy version of just not rolling them and just putting them all into a casserole. But oh no, for Christmas, you can't do that. And if you've got company especially, you have to have them all rolled. Well, I wasn't very good at it, but I was patient and I just kept on going. And my goodness, I had a lovely casserole of cabbage rolls. So I thought, okay, now I'm going to put them into the freezer because I got about 3 weeks to wait for Christmas, right? So I wrapped them really well with saran wrap, just over the top, 2 or 3 sheets all over the top. Then I covered it up with tin foil so there wouldn't be any chance of freezer burn. Put a little label on the top like I'd seen people do, telling me what temperature and everything. I thought, I am right prepared, right? Popped them in the freezer, they froze up. Christmas Eve came and I thought, oh, this is so easy. See, look, I've got that made. Brought it out so that it could thaw. Set it on the counter. That was fine. It was going to be there overnight. I was going to pop it in the oven in the morning. And I didn't want to look at them or anything because I didn't want to get them to warm up too quickly because they were going to be onto the counter and I didn't have a lot of freezer or fridge space, so I didn't want to put them in the fridge. So I thought, well, I'm just going to leave them frozen on the counter. And so that's exactly what I did. In the morning, when it was time, I took the pan, took the label off the top, put the tinfoil covered pan into the oven. Now, did you notice what I didn't do? I didn't take the saran wrap off underneath the tinfoil. I forgot that I had saran wrapped it. So I popped it in the oven with the tinfoil on the top and I cooked it for an hour. And I brought it out and I thought, okay, now we're just going to toast up the top a little bit, take the tinfoil off, you know, and just give them 5 more minutes without the top. Took the tinfoil off. I had, you will not even believe it, the saran wrap was like a liquid film on the top. It didn't resemble saran wrap anymore, but it also wasn't melted into the food. So I took my fork over into the corner, and when I lifted the corner with my fork, all the saran wrap, just like a big lump, came up onto my fork and left my cabbage rolls absolutely perfect. And I was able to just put them back into the oven. I never told anybody about it. I couldn't believe that that had happened. It was crazy. But anyway, I'm going to just put this pasta in there. Now it's a very full pan now because I've got a smaller pan than most people would have. Now, if you were going to serve this hot, you would want, now of course, for your noodles to warm up. I cook these al dente because we like ours, not quite so hard, or not so soft, I mean. So, but we are not going to be eating this hot. We are going to be eating this as a cold salad. If my husband wants it hot, we can just put it in the microwave. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn this fry pan off. I'm going to sprinkle this Parmesan cheese over the top. There we are. And I'm going to take this out of the way so that we can get sort of a nicer view of it. Let's set this over here. Okay. There we go. That is the ham and pasta toss. If you want to take a screenshot, you may have to read backwards or hold it up in front of a mirror because I don't know what I've done here. But anyway, that's the first Make It Monday. We'll see what we get up to next week. But this is what I'm talking about, adapting your surroundings to what you can do. I hope everybody has a great day. I'm planning to.